There was once a man whose name caused fear across an entire nation. A man so strong that soldiers trembled at the mention of his arrival. A man who could break ropes like dry threads, defeat armies alone, and do what no ordinary human could ever dream of doing. His name was Samson. But this is not only the story of his strength. It is the story of love, betrayal, weakness, and a final moment that changed history forever. Long before Samson was born, the people of Israel were suffering. The Philistines ruled over them with cruelty. Fear hung over the land like a dark cloud. Families lived under oppression. Men worked in fear. Women prayed in tears. And children grew up hearing stories of pain and defeat. But in the middle of that darkness, God had already prepared a deliverer. A woman who had never been able to have a child was visited by an angel of the Lord. The angel stood before her and said that she would give birth to a son. This child would not be ordinary. He would be chosen from birth. He would be set apart for God. There were strict instructions. No razor must ever touch his hair. He must live under a sacred vow. His hair would be the sign that he belonged to God, and through him, Israel would begin to be delivered from the Philistines. Soon the child was born. They named him Samson. From the moment he began to grow, it was clear that something extraordinary rested upon him. Even as a young boy, there was a strange force in him. He was stronger than the other children, faster, bolder, different. People looked at him and whispered that God's hand was upon his life. As he grew into a young man, that strength became impossible to ignore. One day, Samson was traveling alone through a vineyard. The air was still. The path was quiet. Then suddenly, a lion leapt out from the bushes with a terrifying roar. Its eyes burned with hunger. Its claws tore into the ground. It charged straight at him. Any ordinary man would have run for his life, but Samson stood his ground. Something powerful came upon him. The Spirit of the Lord moved within him. Before the lion could strike, Samson seized it with his bare hands. The beast fought wildly, roaring and clawing, but Samson's strength was beyond human understanding. With his bare hands, he tore the lion apart. No sword, no spear, no weapon, only strength given by God. When the people heard what had happened, the story spread across the land like fire. A man who killed a lion with his hands? Impossible. Yet it was true. From that day, Samson's name became known everywhere. As the Philistines continued to oppress Israel, Samson became a terror to them. Again and again they tried to overpower him. Again and again they failed. One day, enemies surrounded him, certain that this time they had him trapped. Samson looked around for something, anything he could use. On the ground lay the jawbone of a donkey. To anyone else, it was worthless, but in Samson's hands, it became a weapon of destruction. With astonishing force, he fought through wave after wave of soldiers. The battle was fierce. Dust rose into the air. Men shouted. Steel clashed. And when it was over, 1,000 Philistine soldiers lay defeated. One man, 1,000 enemies. The Philistines were terrified. Samson became a legend. Children heard stories about him. Warriors feared him. Kings discussed him. He seemed invincible. But sometimes, the greatest weakness of a strong man is not in his body. It is in his heart. Then came Delilah. She entered Samson's life like a beautiful mystery. She was graceful, intelligent, and captivating. Her beauty was difficult to ignore. Her words were soft. Her eyes drew Samson in, and soon he fell deeply in love with her. For the first time, the man who feared nothing let his guard down.
But Delilah was not as innocent as she appeared. The rulers of the Philistines approached her in secret. They had one mission: find the secret of Samson's strength. They offered her silver, a great fortune, enough to change her life forever. All she had to do was discover what made him so powerful. She agreed, and with that decision, the downfall of the strongest man in history began. Night after night, Delilah sat beside Samson and asked in a gentle voice, "Tell me, Samson, what makes you so strong?" At first, Samson did not answer truthfully. He smiled and played with her curiosity. "If they tie me with fresh bowstrings," he said, "I will become weak." That very night, while he slept, Delilah tied him as he had said. Hidden nearby, Philistine soldiers waited. Then she cried out, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you!" In an instant, he awoke and snapped the cords as if they were threads of cotton. The soldiers rushed in, but he escaped easily. Still, Delilah did not give up. Again she asked him. Again he lied. This time he said ropes would make him weak. Again she tried. Again he broke free. Again and again this continued. Each lie, each test, each failed trap. But Delilah was patient. Every day she pressed him. Every night she questioned him. Her voice became emotional. "How can you say you love me if you do not trust me?" Those words slowly wore him down. Not physically, emotionally. Eventually, Samson grew tired, exhausted. At last, he gave in. He told her the truth. "My hair has never been cut," he said. "I have been dedicated to God from birth. If my head is shaved, my strength will leave me and I will become like any other man." That night, Samson fell asleep with his head resting in Delilah's lap. The room was silent. Delilah called for a man. Quietly, carefully, he began to cut the 7 locks of Samson's hair. One lock fell, then another, and another. When the final lock fell, Delilah whispered, "Samson, the Philistines are here." He woke up suddenly. He rose to his feet, expecting to fight as he always had. But something felt different. His strength was gone. Before he could react, the Philistines stormed into the room. They seized him. For the first time in his life, Samson could not resist. The strongest man in history had fallen. They bound him in chains. They dragged him away. The crowds that once feared him now mocked him. Day after day, Samson sat in darkness. But while time passed in silence, something began to happen. His hair started to grow again, slowly, quietly, and inside him, faith returned. Then came the day of the great celebration. The Philistines gathered in their temple to celebrate their victory over Samson. They brought him out for entertainment. The crowd laughed. They mocked him. But Samson was no longer focused on them. He bowed his head and prayed, "Lord God, remember me. Please strengthen me just once more." Then strength returned. Samson placed one hand on each pillar. He pushed. The pillars trembled. Dust began to fall. The laughter turned to fear. Then the temple collapsed. Stone crashed. The roof came down. Everything fell. And in that final act, Samson defeated more enemies than he had in all his life before. His story ended not as a perfect man, but as a broken man who found his way back to God. Because even the strongest can fall, but even the fallen can rise one final time.